Welcome to our live stream here on this Friday. We're glad to be back. We didn't get to do it last week because we had a little weather issue that you may have been aware of if you were anywhere in the middle part of the United States. We didn't get to have an audience for the show. I didn't get to Nashville. We did a lot of the pieces of the show remotely. We're back in theater this week and happy about it. Johnny Livesey is with me. He's going to be reading questions that you were sending in, and you're starting to do it. I just feel it. I feel it. You're doing it right now. You're sitting there at your keyboard, or you have your phone in your hand, and you are preparing questions and sending them in right now in the chat. If you'd like more visibility for your questions, send it in a super chat. We have moderators who watch the chat for the questions. They will feed them to us here on the set. And we'll get to quite a few of them today. That's our goal anyway. Now, across the live stream today, we have several things we're going to bring to you. Kamala Harris makes a brilliant case for voting for Biden. Boy, it'll be fun. Kari Lake drops a bombshell recording of the now former GOP head in Arizona. This is one that has some legs, and we'll see where they take us. And we'll also be taking a look at Joe Biden's border crisis. And boy, does he ever have one. I don't know that he knows he does, but everybody else seems to know that he does. As you know, one of the things we do is a little pre-show poll. We ask you what you think about a particular topic. And Johnny, what do we have today?
Oh, we always try to have a little fun with this one. So the question is, which would win in a free-for-all cage fight? Option 1 is Biden's teleprompter.
Mm-hmm.
Option 2 is People Back East, and that's a reference to the People Back East from the Kari Lake recording.
Tape,
Yeah. Option 3 is a honey badger, and option 4 is Kamala's laugh. So what would your vote be?
I'll go Kamala's laugh.
Kamala's laugh.
Yeah.
Well, Kamala's laugh came out strong in the beginning, but fell behind. Kamala's laugh is at 33%. Biden's teleprompter is at 23%. People Back East at 8%. And a honey badger wins with 35%. This was a close one, close fight.
Yeah, and it's kind of spread across. Normally we have like a dominant answer, but this time everybody was all over the board. But we also look at a top comment from our last live stream. It was from a couple of weeks ago. This comes from Patricia A. Harkins, who said, quote, "Sanctuary cities are not happy with Texas, but we're happy to have Greg Abbott for our governor." Obviously, Patricia is from Texas. And I don't blame her. You should be happy to have Greg Abbott as your governor. I think he's doing exactly the right thing, and he is not taking no for an answer. Supreme Court made what really was a ridiculous ruling, and I was disgusted with John Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett for their votes with the far left of the Supreme Court, basically saying that the federal government could go and take down the concertina wire that Texas has been putting up to control a border that the federal government want. Now, there seems to be a little more to the ruling, maybe, that the press hasn't completely relayed. It's not that the federal government was ordered to cut the wire. It's just that they were given the ability to do it if they wanted to pursue. And the Biden White House has pretended like they're going to go do it, and they have until today. Texas has until today to make the move and get out of the way. It's interesting. We'll get to some clips later in the live stream, but they really can't tell you why having a closed border is a bad idea. I'm just stunned by that. If it's terrible to have a fence, terrible to have a border, take those fences down from around the White House. Just open it up. Let people come and knock on the front door or walk around and take a look. They're paying for it. I think most people would say that'd be really dangerous. Isn't it dangerous to let 10 million people or more, we don't even know how many there are, come into the country, many of them young military-age males coming from China and Iraq and Iran and from all over the world? That's a little dangerous. All right, we also have a question for you, and we'd like for you to weigh in starting now. Here's the question for this week. Is the influx of illegal immigrants at our border an invasion? That's the word that people are using now. That is not just a dereliction of duty at the border. It is an invasion of people. We don't know who they are. We don't know why they're coming. We don't know where they're going to go when they get here. And we don't know if they're bringing any communicable disease or if, in fact, they are criminals, drug addicts. We don't know. because we're not checking them. So is this an invasion for this many people to just slide across the border? Be sure to leave your answers in the chat or in the comments section below. And by the way, if you have not subscribed to the channel, perfect time to do it right now. Be sure to hit the notification bell. Also, say you like the live stream and share it with other people. All right, we're going to get right to it. I think one of the most fascinating things is just trying to keep up with Joe Biden's podium gaffes. It's like they just keep coming. This isn't a one-off. These happen all the time, and we have a few that we wanted you to see. This is just another reminder that Joe Biden is struggling to get his message across.
Teach Donald Trump a valuable lesson. Don't mess with the women in America unless you want to get the benefit.
I hope you got that. Don't try to just rush with Jimmy.
I was inspired. I almost cried.
What I don't understand, why are those people cheering? What were they cheering? They didn't understand that. I mean, we can carefully monitor it and take out the background noise, and nobody has a clue what he just said. And it's not the only time. He was talking about the great value of electric cars, and I think he meant to talk about a Tesla, but he couldn't get that quite straight. Let's watch.
Because of you, Toyota, Volkswagen, Nissan, Tulsa all gave their workers double-digit raises. Because of you.
Toyota, Volkswagen, Nissan, Tulsa. I didn't know they're making cars in Tulsa now, branding the car after the city in Oklahoma. Who knew? Well, it's truly bizarre, but that's what we're dealing with, and it's why I think a lot of us are concerned. Will he end up being the Democrat nominee, or will they find a way to nudge him out? That's going to be, I think, the big question for all of us to be watching. Now, if you watch any of the media on the left, you'll know that they say that any time a Republican or a conservative questions election results, it makes them an election denier. And that's supposed to be really bad. In fact, it's not just bad, it's the mark of being a Nazi, a fascist. I don't know how you can be both, a communist. It's also primarily the mark of being a threat to democracy. This is the big line, a threat to democracy. Well, I want you to hear Joe Biden, who goes to Virginia this week. He has Terry McAuliffe, who is the Democrat candidate for governor, in the audience. And he introduces him as a little bit more than a guy who lost. Let's watch.
Hello, Virginia. And the real governor, Terry McAuliffe.
You know, he didn't really get his name out right. Terry McCall. It's McAuliffe. But that's okay, Joe. We kind of expect you'll muff the line. But here's the thing. If Donald Trump had gotten up and said, here's Kari Lake, the real governor of Arizona, it'd be the lead story on MSNBC and CNN all week long. Because a lot of people thought Kari Lake really had a good case for saying that election in Arizona was rigged for governor. So Donald Trump can't go to Arizona and make that kind of statement without being called a threat to democracy. But Joe Biden can go to Virginia. He can say that about Terry McAuliffe, and not a peep out of CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, CBS. And all this time, I thought that denying the results of an election were the greatest threat possible to our democracy. Which, by the way, just for the record, we don't have a democracy. What we have here is a constitutional republic. If it were truly a democracy, it would all be governed by direct vote, and the majority would win every time. And we would just take votes of the people. We wouldn't have a Congress. We would have everybody voting. They'd go to a town hall or whatever they would do, and they would all scream their voices out, and whoever had the most votes, that's how we would go. But we didn't create that. Our founders were pretty smart. They realized that a direct democracy was even more unwieldy than what we did end up with, which is a constitutional republic, which means that we have a constitution that governs us, and we elect representatives to represent the people, and therefore the people vote on legislation through their elected representatives rather than doing it directly. Let's talk about how that plays out at the White House with Karine Jean-Pierre, or as Dan Mandis, the local talk show host here in Nashville, calls her, Coringe Jean-Pierre, my favorite nickname for her. Here's a little response that she had to a question about denying election results.
Is election denying a joke now?
What do you mean? You have to say more than just make a random statement.
Why did the president say, hello, Virginia, and the real governor, Terry McAuliffe?
He was making a joke about Terry. He was making
What's
a
the
joke. He was, I mean, if you play it back, it's clearly that the president was making a joke.
What's the joke?
He was making a joke about McAuliffe's previous term as governor.
How are you guys going to convince people, though, that this idea of denying election results is very bad if President Biden is going out and making jokes like this?
Okay, he did not deny it.
This is the White House and the way they spin things. They just flat out say, oh, no, that's not what he did. Of course it's what he did. Now, was it a joke? Probably so. Why is it that people on the left can tell jokes about election results? People on the right can't. As I say, if Donald Trump had said that, even if it was clearly a joke, Donald Trump says jokes all the time. He talked about, I'm going to be a dictator for one day. And you had Rachel Maddow wetting her pants on the air over that. She couldn't handle it. He's going to be a dictator. He said he was going to be a dictator. You see, there it is. He's a dictator. He's promised he's going to be a dictator. This is the insanity with which we are dealing in the national press. It's why nobody trusts him. Nobody, except the people on the far left. They trust them. I'm not sure they believe him either, but they pretend that they do. By the way, this has got to be one of the greatest clips I've seen in a long time. This is our Vice President, Kamala Harris, and she is projecting in a way that it's just beyond description. But she is talking about how bad it would be if we elected Donald Trump, because what he would do with the Department of Justice. Listen as irony drips off her face as she speaks.
You've got someone who has said that if he were back in office, he would weaponize the Department of Justice. Someone who has said that they will go after their political enemies. Let's be really clear about what's at stake. We can't lose this democracy.
Oh, no, we can't, because right now we got a president who has already weaponized the Department of Justice, already doing it right now. And more importantly, going after political enemies. And I'm not saying figuratively. He's actually got 91 indictments against Donald Trump. You can't more weaponize the Department of Justice than what's happening right now to Donald Trump and all these indictments that are out there. When Donald Trump was president for 4 years, how many of his, quote, political enemies did he use the Department of Justice, the FBI, the CIA, or any other government agency, IRS, to go after them? Name one. You can't, because there isn't one. He never did it. This is what's so bizarre. It is absolutely insane.
If I may say, I was a little iffy on whether or not I should vote for Trump or Biden, but after I heard what Kamala had to say there, I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
I guess I should vote for Trump because she's talking about Biden, right? Like, clearly, she was talking about Biden.
That's the irony of it all, is that she is describing what the Biden administration has done in weaponizing the Justice Department. Reminder, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, be sure to like and share. All these things are important because it lets us get out to more people. In one of the most bizarre stories, we're going to do this one and then we'll get to some of your questions, but this is just extraordinary. Kari Lake, who ran for governor in Arizona, who's now an announced candidate for Senate, was paid a visit at her home by the chairman of the state Republican Party of Arizona. And in this encounter, he he overtly offers her almost any amount of money if she will drop out of the race. And he keeps talking about these people back east. Do we have that tape? Are we playing?
Yes, yeah, and it's a bit of a longer clip. It's edited together, but it's very clear where it's been edited, so
Okay.
there's nothing malicious or...
Okay, so we do have, it's a long tape, several minutes long, so we have a piece of it that'll give you a little hint. Here we go.
So the ask I got today from back east was, is there any companies out there or something that could just put her on the payroll and give her, to keep her out? And I said, well, what do you want to do? Like, whatever we need to do.
This is about defeating Trump. And I think that's a bad thing for our country.
You can't scratch their back. It's not afraid of you.
Yeah.
You don't have anything to offer them. And they're sitting around people that have stuff to offer them. You know what I mean? It's just, it's a back scratching club. That's all DC is. It's a big back scratching club.
I'm not willing to accept that. And I'm going to be the biggest pain in these people's. Go back and tell them that. I'm running, and I'm going to be the biggest pain in their.
But again, it's like...
You know what it is? The people don't get to choose their elected officials unless they're pre-approved by the swamp. And the swamp doesn't pre-approve of me.
You need a strong party to help
I think you should go public with this and then say, hey,
No.
these people don't want to, they don't want,
And then I turn my key in my car and I just,
I don't know.
I like my car.
Tell them I'm not flattered. I'm offended that
Don't tell anybody we had this conversation.
I'm offended that they don't care about our country more.
I actually wish you'd just give me a counter offer. That's big. Give me a counter.
I can't be bought.
That's fascinating. I hope if you were able to watch, you could see the words on the screen because we wanted you to be able to know exactly what they were saying. I know otherwise it's a little complicated to hear. This was just an overt attempt to buy Kari Lake out of the race. And to her credit, she was having none of it. She didn't say, well, I won't do it for X amount, but I might do it for this. Nope. She was adamant. There's not an amount of money, not $1 billion that would get her to get out of a race. I thought it was a great moment for Kari Lake and a very bad moment for the Republican Party chair of Arizona, who, by the way, the next day after this got leaked, he resigned. He may be hiding in some country that doesn't have extradition agreements with the U.S. right now. Probably he's hiding two reasons. One, maybe from the Justice Department, although they'll never prosecute somebody who was going after Kari Lake. But the other might be whoever these East Coast guys were, if they got enough money to try to buy Kari Lake, they probably got enough money to get him rubbed out. If I were him, I'd be sleeping with one eye open until I could get to some country where they'll never be able to find him, because that could be frightening. Let's take some questions. I have a feeling by now you've started to send us some, so let's see what we got.
We've got a handful. Let's see. We've got a couple super chats here. First from Brad Brune. Hope I'm saying that correctly. $5 from Brad. Thank you very much. This is a comment, really. Maybe Joe Biden is speaking in the unknown tongue. Interpretation, please. Got a good response directly to that. Another super chat from David W., $5 from him. Anyone who speaks in a tongue does not speak to men, but to God. ... Maybe Joe is asking for forgiveness.
Yeah, speaking in tongues, that's what it is. And I don't guess we have the gift of interpretation.
Yeah, I think you'd need more than that with him. All right, this question coming from Betty. Hello from South Louisiana, Abbeville. Love the show. Love you, Governor Huckabee. Any chance you will be Trump's VP? Would love that ticket.
Not a chance, Betty, not a chance. He would never ask me. I'm an older white guy. The last thing he needs on the ticket is a guy like me. And the other reason is I would say no. Been there, done that. Well, not been asked to be VP, but I think it's time for others to take up that mantle. So let me just say, Betty, if I'm nominated, I will not run. And if I'm elected, I will not serve. So there you go. Thank you, though. You're very sweet to even suggest it.
Was that a JFK?
It was a JFK.
Yeah, I was getting all right. Okay. I got it. I'm a youngin'.
Good.
Well, I think it's only appropriate that you repeat yourself. So Jesse Barnes asks, Mike, why don't you run for president next?
Well, because I tried that a couple of times, Jesse, and the net result was it took me a while to financially recover from those lovely experiences. So I think I'll sit those out for the upcoming future.
Fair enough. I think I recall you saying once that you would sooner become trans than run for president.
More likely that I would have transgender surgery than that I would ever do that.
That's saying something.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear at that point. By the way, I don't know why, but I have lost all communication with the control booth. So
Can you hear me though?
I can hear you only here. I
Okay.
cannot hear you there. So
Well, that's the only
if
important
there's any
thing. They
message
don't
that
matter.
they need to get to me, they'll have to relay it through you. Otherwise, I have no idea.
All right, fair enough. Well, so Michael L.,
Okay.
excuse me, asked this question regarding the Kari Lake taping. When did this happen? How long ago did this conversation take place? Last week, last month, last year?
I think it was this past week.
Yeah. So
understanding.
she released it this last week. Sorry, I was listening to an interview she had with Megyn Kelly.
Okay.
just
When was it
yesterday.
actually recorded?
If I recall correctly, she said it was about 11 months ago.
That long ago?
It was right before CPAC last year, because she said that she changed her speech for CPAC, and she's been talking about this ever since,
Huh.
and then finally listened to the interview again sometime in the last couple of weeks and
okay.
decided to release, or the tape.
All
and
right.
then
By the
decided
way,
to
I'm
release it.
hearing things again now. So whatever wasn't working is working. So
Okay,
there we go.
good deal.
Let's get to some clips. We want to talk about, I think we're going to go down here to the border because well, you know what? Let's pick this up. Dean Phillips is running for president against Joe Biden. I want to go to this one. And this is a shocker because CNN actually aired his comments, which were complimentary, if you will, to, of all people, Donald Trump. And you're not supposed to be able to say that on CNN. But listen to Dean Phillips describe his attendance at a Donald Trump rally.
You know, I'm going to be a leader who actually invites people, doesn't condemn them. Met probably 50 Trump people waiting in line, every single one of them thoughtful, hospitable, friendly, all of them so frustrated that they feel nobody's listening to them but Donald Trump. A diverse crowd, people who had never been to a Trump event before. My party is completely delusional right now, and somebody had to wake us up, and if that's my job, so be it.
You would rather, though, have Biden in the White House again than...
Of course he had. I thought that was fascinating. It was a very honest answer. I don't know Dean Phillips. We're trying to get him as a guest on the Huckabee show because I'd like to visit with him, and I'd be very kind and fair to him. But I find him interesting. He's an honest guy. He said, look, I went to the Donald Trump rally. These are not crazy people. These are people that just feel like nobody's listening to them. And he said it's not all, old white people. It's a very diverse crowd. There were people that had never voted for Trump before, never been to one of his rallies. I thought it was an exceptional insight into something that the people of CNN and MSNBC will never understand because they don't want to. And, they will not even allow Donald Trump's speeches to air. They will interrupt as soon as he starts talking, say, we have to pull away because we're afraid he'll say something not true. And I'm thinking, well, then you'll never have Joe Biden on. But of course they do. Here's what I think they should do. If they think Donald Trump is as dangerous as they continually tell us he is, they would air everything he says, and it would scare the daylights out of everybody. So why don't they do that? Because they know that a lot of what he says would make sense to the American people, and they can't stand that. That's what they can't handle. Let's take a look real quickly. Let's see. We are almost out of time, so we're going to real quickly go to the border. We can't ignore that. But at the press conference this week at the White House, John Kirby, who is kind of coming in to help Jean-Pierre get bailed out of some squirmy circumstances, he has asked, do we have a southern border? Let's watch this exchange.
Do we have a southern border?
Yes, ma'am. Of course we do.
Then how come people can flow across it every single day? Hundreds and thousands of people over the 300,000 people in December.
We're working very hard to try to fix that, Martha. That's why we need congressional action. That's why the president asked for additional funding.
Yeah, we're working real hard. You're not working hard. You've worked real hard to destroy the border. It was pretty well resolved. Joe Biden comes in, and on day one, he tears down what we have, won't build another inch, and will not enforce the law as it relates to people coming in. Peter Doocy at the White House pushing again to John Kirby as to this conflict about the border and the razor wire. Let's watch.
Why are you guys making it easier for people to enter the country illegally?
I don't believe we are. Why do you think we are?
Well, you guys sued to cut razor wire that was put in place by Texas officials.
So that the Border Patrol could actually do their jobs. But keep going.
Well, you won in court, so now what? The Border Patrol Union president is saying the Supreme Court's decision is going to undoubtedly encourage more illegal immigration. Do you guys know better than the Border Patrol Union?
The Border Patrol needed access, and that's why we sued to get rid of that razor wire so that they could do their jobs.
So they could do their jobs. Their job is to protect the border. What does Kirby not understand about that? This is insane. Their job is to protect the border. I can't get on a plane in this country without showing my photo ID. I can't go to any country in the world without walking in with a passport. And they look and they ask me why I'm in that country. They want to know how long I'm going to be there, where I'm going to be staying. That's to go to any country in the world, except through the southern border of the United States. And then, come on in. We don't care who the heck you are. Go anywhere you want. In fact, if you really would like to go somewhere, we'll put you on a plane, send you to New York, put you in a hotel, take care of your meals, health care. Get kids? No problem. We'll put them in schools. We'll throw the kids out of school that are in there now that are the residents of New York and put your kids in their place. This is crazy. If you vote for Joe Biden, you're voting for that. Just being blunt. I'm going to take 2 quick questions, and then we are going to go to the final quote of the day, which is special.
I can't wait.
A couple of questions. What do we got?
All right, questions. We got some questions relating to the border. First question is from Kenny Cottrell. Why is Joe Biden going against Governor Abbott about the border?
Because Joe Biden wants an open border. They look at this as the opportunity to get cheap labor and what they consider to be Democrat votes. If they can get the warm bodies in, they'll line them up to be Democrat voters. You say, well, they can't vote. They're not citizens. Bingo. But they're going to be treated as thus, and they're going to be given the vote. Mark my words.
That's why the Democrats are fighting so hard against voter ID.
Exactly.
Yeah. This question from Sandra Burdick regarding the Texas barbed wire SCOTUS decision. I thought they threw it back to the Fifth Circuit.
They basically, no, what they said was that the federal government has the authority. They didn't say they had to cut the wire.
Mm-hmm.
They said they could. It's different than they shall. And that's kind of where the rub is. So what we're going to watch over the next few days, how hard will the federal government push Texas? Texas is pushing back. And by the way, so far I think there are 26 other states that are standing with Texas.
Wow.
26, which is the majority of the country. And they're saying, hey, the court's wrong. Texas is right. That's pretty bold. Okay, I said I was going to do something here to close out. This is amazing. A 50-year-old male professor now identifies as a 15-year-old girl, not only able to swim on an all-girl swim team, but to change and shower with 13 to 15-year-old girls. Do we have a clip for this?
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to watch it, but we'll go ahead and do it anyway.
It's not explicit. Don't worry.
Okay. All right. Let's see it.
Of course, the infamous 50-year-old man who identifies as a 13-year-old girl. That allows Nicholas to swim with the teenage girls. Oh, and by the way, change and shower with them as well. Even though it's against world aquatic rules, he should be competing in an other division, other as in transgender division. It's disgusting, but no, he is so entitled, he insists on swimming with real biological girls.
This is just, folks, this is insane. And I'm going to tell you, sorry to be this blunt, but if you vote for people who support this kind of nonsense, you are a part of an extraordinary problem that is destroying our culture and civilization. There is nothing right about a 50-year-old pretending that he's a 50-year-old man pretending that he's actually a 15-year-old girl. You just don't get to do that. You know, I can pretend that I'm an 18-year-old megastar. It doesn't make me that. It just doesn't. You just don't get to play act. We did that when we were 5 years old. But when you grow up, you have to start behaving like an adult. This guy's behaving like a pervert. That's what you have to assume he is. It's insane. Hey, we're glad you joined us for today's live stream. We'll be back next week for another edition. I hope that you will always join with us when we do, and don't miss the Huckabee Show. By the way, leave your questions in the comments section. Even after the show, we'll take a look at them. You may be the quote of the week for next week. And if you enjoyed our time together today, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell. That's the best way that we can get content to you. I want you to know about a special show we have this weekend, some great guests. You want to know about it? Watch.
This week on Huckabee, Sarah Palin breaks down the newest developments in the presidential race. Huck's hero, Dr. Lois Lee, and the Children of the Night. Kurt Kearley and the Rise Raptor Project. And the smooth sounds of the legendary Gino Vanelli. Watch Huckabee Saturday at 8, 7 Central, and again on Sunday at 9, 8 Central, right here on TBN.